Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Christian Reeve Podcast. Today's guest is a podcaster, filmmaker, producer, director, editor, all the way from Texas. Her name is Vanessa Younts, or also going by the name Vanessa The Vivacious. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. It's 5 p.m. my time. What time is it your time?
It is 11:10 Central Standard Cow Farm, Texas time. So we don't all have
How
cows and we
fun.
don't all have farms, but you know, for those
Uh,
of you that are thinking we have cows, that's what time it is for the cows.
right on. So it's morning time for you. It's evening time for me. I've been very, very busy, and and here I am doing this, and it's cool because I was actually on your show before, and we spoke a little bit off camera just about it. Um, I did want to ask that. How come you wanted to be on my show? Let's start there.
Well, I've seen your show
Okay.
because I found you through TikTok. Of course, everyone finds everyone through social now, right?
Mm,
And you're constantly looking for guests, you're looking for talent, you're looking for all sorts of creative resources. So when I first found you, what drew me to you was, just your complexity and the different things that you were going through as far as your content. But
mm.
then after our meeting, and it was a fruitful meeting, I hope you thought too. But after that episode, I still watched your show or
Oh
heard your show,
wow.
watched your content. Yeah, I'm not one of those like, oh yes, come on my show or interview a book guest. Yes, I've read your book. It was fabulous. Like I actually read the books. I actually learn about the guests. I care. But even afterward, if it's someone that I'm just highly interested in and I want to follow their path, I definitely will. So I've followed your path through your content, through your show, and I thought, you know what? Wild idea. Why don't I, ask him if I can be interviewed by him? Because I've been interviewed in a few publications now for Are You Happy and Happy Productions, and I thought, I haven't been interviewed yet on a podcast, so let's turn the tables and see what happens.
Oh man, your first interview on a podcast.
I think so. There's probably
Wow.
some somewhere, but this is the first one for sure in the last few years, I think.
Well, I'll take that honor. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I really dug what you were doing with that. Let's talk about a little bit about that. So you're representing this brand called Are You Happy, and you've set up a podcast off the back of that. But it sort of started as this like online like let's call it a series where you'd just go up to people randomly and just be like, hey, and you'd ask them a bunch of questions, but the key question you'd ask them is, are you happy? And obviously you get a mixed sort of bunch of responses for that. But where did that kind of all start? Where did the idea for that start?
Mhm. Excellent question. So the whole story in itself is magical, but the origin is with a small team who traveled the world, literally asking people, "Are you happy?" And that initial inspiration came from the film Chronicle of a Summer, which is a French film, focuses on cinema verite, which for film people or production people, they understand cinema verite deals with truth, right? Truth on film, and capturing real life on film as opposed to scripted, right?
Mm,
So taking that element and then putting it into a documentary format because that's how it started, traveling the world asking people about happiness. In the original film, Chronicle of a Summer, the sociologist and some other folks, they go out and interview people in the streets of France with a microphone, very, very same setup. And this is ages ago, so it's not modern. It's an older film. And so they're out on the street with this microphone and they're asking people, "Are you happy?" And they're asking them other questions. But then they take it a step further and say, what happens when we enter into their life? What happens when we become part of their daily life? And what comes of that? So seeing the interviews in that documentary film, they're so beautiful and they're heartwarming and you connect with them because you're almost walking inside of their house and becoming part of their life, right? And it's so interesting. So Ate Trepka and the team, Are You Happy at that particular time? This is, pre-pandemic. They decided to travel the world asking people, "Are you happy?" and searching for the happiest person in the world. And so yeah. So what a feat, right? To do that. And you think about it, you're like, okay, asking people, are you happy? Very simple concept, yes, but very complex and just like spiritual, so many levels, so much catharsis, so much connection. It just blew up. And of course it would blow up, on social media. And pretty much anywhere you go, if you mention are you happy and the concept behind it, whoever it is you're talking to, you just blow their mind because they're like, wow, you're telling me that you got this amazing response with this like hint of philosophy, right? Their philosophical views on life and all of these other complicated conversations all off of one question, all off of are you happy, and asking what is your joy or what is the source of your happiness right now, and then hearing those things and building follow-up questions that are super thoughtful off of their response. So we're actively listening the entire time, and we're not going through the form, because our interviewers, they are there like from a pure place. So they're asking these questions, but then they're also building follow-up questions during the process of what that person is speaking to, their truth, right? And then the final question, the coup de grace, my most favorite of all, is the, if you could share a message with the world, what would that be? And that is, it gets me every time. If you watch the content, whether it's on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, even everywhere, if you watch it and you see the last question, you get the coolest responses, A, all the time, but then B, you see them quite literally live their life in a series of seconds, and you see it in their face. So if you pay attention to their face, you see what I call kind of like an are you happy, I don't know, I want to say scrunch, but that's not the right word, but their face just has like a different shape that happens, right? And so they're thinking about their life, and they're thinking, okay, what is my message? What did I just live through? Is there something that I have relevant now, or is there something I learned 20 years ago that I want to share? And whatever they share, it's up to them. We don't guide anything outside of the questions and then following up on their response. So for us, it's always been a thing of, sharing the stories of strangers all over the world, however, whenever we can. We've done it in airports. Hell, I've done it on airports. I've done interviews on a train. I've done interviews everywhere. And the experiences are remarkable for both the interviewer and the interviewee. And then we in turn put that out on social media. But also there's the documentary, which is in post-production, and it's going to be out this March. So here in a couple months. So just craziness. And I think for TikTok, we're over 4.1 million followers for TikTok, growing every day. We have millions of views, like on a weekly basis, easily over 15 million views a week. It's crazy views. And then, Instagram, we have over 130,000, I want to say, followers, and that grows every week. We've started interviewing celebrities about happiness, and that was so successful. Recently, we interviewed Alexandra Billings, who's an actress, and she's amazing. So yeah, it's just onward and upward, but ultimately the core of it is believing that every single person has a story worth sharing, and it's on us to facilitate that and to let them share their stories, because I guarantee you that you're going to receive something from it. Something, doesn't matter what it is, but you're going to receive something. And during the pandemic, it was everything. So pandemic time, right? We're all indoors. We can't leave. We can't go anywhere. So we wanted to connect with everyone, right? So you saw more content coming out where people are trying to connect with others. We saw film festivals where filmmakers could not go outside or go on location. So what did they do? They filmed inside their houses, and they used basic things like little, I want to say monitos in Spanish. That's, the little toys. So they use toys to do like kind of like what is it? When you record, you take pictures of the item. It's like flash, what is it? Animation? What is that? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like, yeah. So they were doing animated videos with little tiny toys. And so all of this really cool stuff came creatively, but ultimately, everyone was in a place where they were, not doing so well, and we needed to connect with other people. And I think that Are You Happy, they still continued during the pandemic time and helped to facilitate those connections. So much.
Yeah, and there's a lot for me to unpack right there. I've got a bunch of questions that spring to
Sure.
mind. I think the first one I want to sort of focus on, though, is at the beginning of that, you said that the initial journey and the purpose of the journey was to find the happiest person in the world. And I think the first thing that struck me is like, how do you define happiness? And to a larger extent, like how do you define who is the happiest of all those people?
Excellent questions. Excellent questions. And I believe that that is explored within the documentary. And even so, if it isn't, it's an ongoing discussion, an ongoing debate. And I don't believe that there is yet to be an answer or a response that can
Okay,
accurately.
let's scrap that then. What do you think?
What do I think that what that happiness looks like? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay. So personally, I don't believe that there's one set response for it. I've had the pleasure and the honor to interview thousands of people now,
Damn.
whether it's
Okay.
audio or in person. And I have the pleasure to, oversee 3,000 plus content creators for Are You Happy? And then on our commercial side with Happy Productions, I oversee like a lot of people for our other content production. So I see that happiness looks differently for everyone, and I believe it's like based on their personal experience and their personal views on how their life has come, right? And so we all develop whatever our I guess read on happiness and our own interpretation, and then we just constantly evolve because it changes. We change all the time. Our ideas change and our preferences. So it would make sense that it would be a continuous evolving description for happiness, I think. But um, personally, I just believe that we find it in everything, and that if we can find happiness, whether it's a laugh or a smile or a moment of just joy, whatever it is, if we can find that in everything, then we'll be better for it, and we'll have much more richer lives or more colorful days. So I just, yeah, some people remark on that in our videos already, and they'll say, oh, it's the little things. Totally true. Some might say, oh, it's these specific moments that change our lives. Totally true. All of that is true. So that's not really an accurate answer for you, but continuous evolving, it's yeah, subjective to the person. Yeah.
That's true. That's very true. In the thousands of interviews that you conducted, what was the most memorable one that stood out to you that maybe hit you on a personal level for some reason, or that just kind of inspired you in some way?
Well, I talk about this one all the time on our show, and I have to kind of stop because then how if you listen to an episode multiple times and you're like, oh, cry, darn it, I referenced it again, and it's in multiple episodes, but I think there's a reason why it's not.
I do that all the time, and I'm like, oh, people must be so sick and tired of hearing my stories at this point.
Right? Right? Does that story need its own track to introduce? So
Yeah, just come in with a like tape recorder and be like, okay, hold on. All right,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
play. All right, there you go. I'll
Right.
just sit and relax. I won't have to talk for the next 15 minutes.
Exactly. Exactly. So my most memorable one is on my first day. Um, I was at the mall. And I'll preface this by saying that when I came to Are You Happy, I was a volunteer, just like all the people that enter the program. And now I'm second to the head of the
Wow.
entire thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I came along, it was 3 a.m. that I was on TikTok and I was scrolling through and I saw their videos and I was like, what in the heck is this? I need this is amazing, and it said at the very end there's a call to action that says join our team of interviewers, and if you've ever seen that film, what is it, with Adam Sandler, and the little boy. uh,
Oh yeah. Oh god. Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. Yeah, I know what you're on about.
Big Daddy, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you remember, when there's Scuba Steve and the little boy is like, I can be a member of the Scuba Squad, like that. That's how I felt. I was like, I could be an interviewer on this team, and so I joined. And I remember thinking to myself, this could either be a very memorable story at a cocktail party, or it could be something that's completely life changing. And
Mm.
my whole life has been around doing everything possible to just grasp whatever it is that's in front of me and just grow with it, not even doubting it, just go with it because you never know where it leads. And it's led to a ridiculously awesome career in production and all that I do creative wise. But going back, so I joined it at 3 in the morning, and then the first day I go out, I go to the mall because I'm like, people are at the mall. Let's do this. It's Christmas time, and I approach this balloon maker. So you know how people make animals for the kids.
Mm,
Yeah. So he's making animals for the kids, and I asked him if I could interview him, and he gives this amazing interview, and he's probably like the happiest person I've come across in a long time. But the way that he explained, doing what you love, and just not taking life so seriously, and just do whatever it is you love and damn the rest, and just the way that he kind of like held himself, it was so confident and so pure, but he had like the most pure laugh like a child, and he was just so happy. This guy was just radiating happiness. But whatever it is that was in that particular interview, when it got posted, there was a comment where someone had said, I wasn't planning to be here tomorrow, but then I saw this and I think I'm going to stay.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. Like, like how do you read that and not feel something, feel so many things, And that was when I realized, like, this is beyond me. This is beyond, this is the kind of connections and responses and emotions and what they receive from those videos, because you're literally interviewing strangers all over the world, so the ability to facilitate perspectives all over that we would never see, it's beyond us, and it helps so many people. So seeing that, I can never forget that. I can never forget that someone decided to stick around in this world because of something that I helped facilitate, by just pressing record. So
What was the most difficult or challenging interview that you had?
yeah, I thought of that one too when you said most memorable. So at nighttime, I was downtown in Dallas interviewing people, and I came across this lady that I thought was going to be super happy. And then she asked me a lot of questions like, why was I doing this? What was I doing? And
Right.
then eventually she gave permission. And so I was like, okay, great. And like, are you happy? And she says, no. And then the whole time she looks like she's going to cry the whole time. And I'm
Mm.
trying to get through these questions, but I'm also trying to kind of facilitate the conversation. And it's just really hard. It's hard. It's so hard. And I want to ask her like so many things, but I want to be respectful at the same time, right? And not be invasive. And so at the very end, I asked her, if you could share a message, what would it be? And she said, you spend so much time wasting on thoughts about, fear and what you think that you can't do or shouldn't do. We waste so much time worrying about that. And she's like, and then it never happens. Whatever it is that we fear is going to happen, it never freaking happens. And we waste the time thinking about that stuff. And that whole time, she just looks like she's gonna bawl her eyes out. Like you feel it. You can feel it watching the video. And it's on Instagram, by the way. For some reason, it didn't make it to TikTok, just a technical error, but it's on Instagram. This lady with short hair sitting there, and it's the shortest interview I'd ever done, I think, And yeah, just it made so much sense though. Like, yeah, we totally worry about stuff all the time, and then we find out later that it never happened. And she basically was conveying that she wasted her whole life worrying about stuff. And so by the end of that, when we recap, she was, looking like she was going to cry, and she did afterward. And all I could think about doing after that was being like, hey, can I give you a hug, because you need a hug, I need a hug. Everybody, the whole world needs a hug right now. And so we spent time chatting and talking about what was going on in her life and how she had just relocated and such. But then what was really weird is that she must have been on a date with her boyfriend, because then this guy comes and he has drinks and food, and then like this switch flips and she's happy. I was like, what the heck? What just
Mm.
happened here? And it turns out that this guy, that the love of this man made her happy. And so the minute he comes in the
Oh,
picture,
okay.
yeah, yeah, I was like, wait, what? Like we just spent this like, what?
See, when you said that, my mind straight away went to like, oh no, this is one of those like, I don't know, like Stockholm syndrome type deals, like that she's
Right.
pretending. But then you say, no, 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 she's actually really happy, and it's
Yeah, yeah. And I'm
because of
and I'm
this
like,
person.
but then it kind of makes you think about how, we are compartmentalized though, and how we might have some really, really awful things that we're going through. And another part of us, there's some really good things. And so we have this variety of emotions that we're facing all the time. So it was really odd to see that happen. But the sad portion, that was super difficult interview, is when you're with someone that shares something that is beyond, oh, makes you feel so sad. Like they might be homeless, and that really hits hard with you. And you're like, are you sure you want to do this interview? Because I don't want to take from, your time if you're trying to find somewhere to sleep tonight. That's really hard. But if they say yes, I want to do this interview, then we'll proceed. But we're always, respectful of their time. And then we, in post production, we don't manipulate anything either. We're not like forcing the story. Like we just are able to facilitate these really beautiful stories.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because like you do get a lot of, I've seen when I originally checked out the brand, that you get a lot of negative responses from people. So you ask someone, "Are you happy?" and they say no, and you find out why. And I suppose the biggest thing that comes to my mind is there a lot of recap done? Do you find these people later on and they're doing better? Like, what does the aftercare look like? How do you help people, or do you help people? Like, what goes on there?
And that's a good question because we've been asked that before. And typically like after that interview, it's pretty rare that we'll run into the person again because our creators are either, traveling or maybe they're in a place that they've never been, so they may not go there again. But it has happened where we've come across people a handful of times. One of our content creators came across somebody at the park, and then they saw them again later on with their family, and got to do like a little selfie with them, and that was really great. But afterward, if they're in like a bad place, like if it's something that's super serious, then I'm hoping, I know for myself, I can only speak for myself in the field, but if it comes to me where I'm interviewing someone in the field or even maybe on a podcast too, because it's just my human nature to help people. But afterward, I will have that conversation and be like, hey, are you okay? Here's some resources that you may want to check out, or let's connect you with someone. When we see like really, really difficult comments online, then, if we can make it happen, we'll communicate to them and be like, hey, are you okay? And kind of check in. When we have those interviews where people are like, I'm not happy, we give them just as much room to express why not, because there are other people that are watching that are going through the same thing, if not something similar, where they can receive some kind of message from that. So I think that there's just as much value in the stories where they're not happy versus, thinking that the ones that are happy are far greater. I think they're equal.
In all the interviews that you've done and all the videos that you've edited or seen or experienced and under this Are You Happy brand, is there a particular life lesson that you took from all of them, or like one of them that particularly stands out that you're like, yeah, that's the one, that's the biggest thing, biggest takeaway from this experience?
I think it's a culmination of all of them, honestly. Um, the biggest takeaway for me is that nothing is ever what it seems, ever. So when we come across someone and we think that they're happy or we think that they're not happy, sometimes it's the case, but a lot of times it's never what we think it is. And by us like initiating conversations with everyone, then, we're able to experience more and learn more. And sometimes we come across someone that we may not normally approach as a stranger without a camera, right? But then when you do, and you have this interesting conversation with someone that you would have never normally come across or even said hi to, it's life changing.
It's one of those ones, isn't it? That just makes
Yeah.
you sit
Yeah,
and
and
ponder.
I do want to point out that I am not all of Are You Happy, just like Ase Trepka is not only Are You Happy. Are You Happy consists of 3,000 plus creators, and we get more every day, but that we want to grow, right? But also we have a team of editors. We have amazing editors, and they are wonderful. We have creative directors. We have a strategist who works on our commercial side. We have client managers for our commercial side, which is Happy Productions. So effectively, everything that we do here through Are You Happy and the type of strategy that we've developed to share stories and be effective storytellers and be really amazing at putting together content that's worthwhile, entertaining, but also educating as well. All of these wonderful things that we do, we couldn't do it without the massive teams that we have behind us, and
Mm.
especially for our commercial clients with Happy Productions. So in turn, all the essence and things that we have here on Are You Happy, we have also built that same model into our commercial process where we help our clients to develop their brand, their voice, and also tell unique stories about them, because it's no longer about the product, right? Now, on Instagram, on TikTok, you see a lot of commercial companies coming in and telling these beautiful stories about them and why they do what they do, and that's something that is better at reaching their audience versus the product. So I love to say to people that it's no longer a conversation about what's in the box. It's about who's behind the box. And you can take that to the bank. That's what I tell people all the time. I know it for a fact. I've seen it. But yeah, so Happy Productions is super successful at doing short form content for businesses and other commercial brands. We work with authors and several different kinds of clients. We've worked with Burberry, Warner Brothers, so many different people. And actually, right now, we're looking for content creators who are in the UK, so London and Central area. We have work for content creators in the UK. So I hope that people listening in your UK surrounding areas will definitely reach out. And you're more than welcome to share my contact information for that. But this whole ride, it's a journey, but it's an amazing journey. We have amazing teams. We have interns who do amazing work. Man, we're just blessed to be able to work with people. And I tell you this, like, not even joking. We have people that are so committed to what they do that they work hours beyond the normal business hour because they love it. And we have people that are so creative that they can whip up ideas within seconds and then create like this conversation and come up with various like story plans, and it's insane. Like, we have like this creative genius in our team, and I always tell Afe Trepka that I don't know how he did it. Like, teach me how to do that, because having people around you that are just like superheroes, as I call them, it's amazing. But for us, like going to the office, virtual office on a Monday, because all of our people are all over the world, right? It's not Monday. It's never Monday, because everyone just loves what they do.
You mentioned them. We've kind of learned it throughout the course of you speaking there. Like, I can tell. I mean, if you don't have a background in marketing and sales, then I'll be very surprised, because you're clearly very good at selling the product,
Uh,
branding it. But
no,
would
actually, I
you?
have no background in marketing. No, I did sales before, but I've never been classically trained. I'm just naturally good at things. So,
Classically
yeah.
trained.
I
I
taught
like that.
myself the piano. I taught myself to play the piano. I
Oh
compose
wow.
music. I play the
Okay.
flute, sure. I can read music and such, but I taught myself to play the piano on a whim because I was bored. So,
No, that I mean, that's amazing. I was laughing because I assume you were saying, like, in the sense that classically trained in sales and marketing. That's what you meant, right?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay,
I said
okay, okay,
classic.
okay. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, that's very clever. Yes, very well done. No, I
Yeah,
think. Well, I will say this. I mean, I got a degree in marketing, and to be honest, I didn't learn really about marketing to actually start working in it, because it is like a way of looking at certain things and reflecting on things and stuff. But you do it well. It's something I picked up on. But what I want to focus on is that you mentioned that you're directly underneath the main, let's say, owner, CEO. I don't know how you want to put it, like
sure,
the
sure.
leader of this situation. And you mentioned that, yeah. So, like, how long ago did you start with them? Let's start there.
Man, yeah, I think, well, they say 2 years, but I feel like it's less than that. So we'll just say 2 years, sure.
Right. Okay. This is incredible. So you started as a volunteer 2 years ago, and now 2 years later, you're
I am the
is it like the
director.
like right hand
Yeah,
man essentially. Oh, you're the director.
yeah,
Okay, so you're the director of
yeah.
Are You Happy?
Correct. I am managing director for Are You Happy? So that
Nice.
means
Okay.
over everything, the whole universe. He gave me the keys, like, actually way before that.
Right. Well, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Secondly, walk us through like how you got to that point, because I feel like it's probably going to be a combination of many different factors, but I want to kind of hear it in your words,
Yeah,
because I think this is a
yeah.
quite an inspiring thing that people could
Oh,
take a lot
totally.
from.
Oh, sure. I mean, there are people in my own family that are like, how in the hell did you do that? But you're also talking to someone who talked their way into an internship after a 15-year break of working in film and production. So
Wow.
there's that.
Okay.
Yeah. So for Are You Happy? I came in as a volunteer and I just hit things full force. It's just what I do. And I think that that has a great deal of success in anything that you do, right? So I put everything into it. And then when I had situations where my phone wasn't working or something logistically was not happening, I pivoted and I found a way to do something else to be useful. So I started talking to people in the community and answering questions. Well, I get a DM from Ate, and he says, I want to meet with you and let's have a meeting. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm in trouble for overstepping. So then I have this meeting with him, and he's like, or I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. 5 bags full. And he goes, I'm not trying to punish you. He's like, I'm trying to hire you because who are you?
What a statement.
He's like, first off, who are you? He's like, you just walked into my company, or you just walked into this place. It just started helping people and operating in such a manner as if you already worked here. And I was like, I don't know. This is what I do. If I see a need for help or something, then I don't even think about it. I just do it. And so I did that, and he said, "Would you be our community manager? And we would love to pay you for that." And I was like, "Of course, this is so much fun." And at the time, I was a full-time insurance agent, and I'm still licensed, by the way.
Sweet.
But yeah, I'm licensed in Texas, Colorado, and New Mexico, I think. Yeah. So I decided like, okay, I'm gonna work, and I was going to school too for film and video and production stuff. And so I was doing these three things, but I was so adamant about doing the work because I loved it and I had passion for it, and it involved all the things that I love. So it involved production, it involved video, creativity, humanity, and really like helping people. So above all, I've always had like that servant's heart, and the willingness to help people without even thinking about it. It's just second nature. So all of these things were in that work, and so I was in love with it and committed before I even had this commitment. So I think that is what led to the quick rise, I suppose, in my position. But once I became community manager, I started, working with everyone and then setting up these events. And of course, you have things that work, things that don't work, but then you just grow. And then attitude, what do you do with that when you fail? Well, for some people they fail and they stew in that, but I can't. I have to keep moving forward. So I have to keep innovating or pivoting rather to make it work or create something new and just continuously be moving and doing something, right? So that's my thing. And soon after that, he said, hey, we have room on our commercial side with Happy Productions. Why don't you come over and also work with us over here? Okay. So I went over there and I started, what was I doing? I don't recall what I was doing over there, but eventually it evolved to being production management. Eventually that's what it evolved to. But I was helping a lot of people in various other areas. But for Are You Happy, after community manager, then it was like, okay, we're going to promote you, and you already have keys to the castle as the community manager, but now you're going to be managing director of the whole Are You Happy universe along with with him. And it was an extreme honor, and I got to hire a new community manager, and we're currently building the future for that. So it's insane. This is so insane. I could never understand how someone put so much trust in me so quickly. I guess I do, because I'm an honest person and stuff, and it shows, right? But it was ridiculously fast, and I'm a fast moving person, so I was there for it. I embraced it 100%.
What was your first thought when he told you that you were going to become managing director?
I was like, okay, 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 okay.
Just the journey. Yeah.
Yeah. The emotional thing, and of course you have your poker face, right? So you don't let out, or you don't let anyone see that you're like quaking at the knees, But I'm just like, okay, okay. So I just ran with it. I knew that whatever happened, he'd be there to support me, and all the various team folks that we have. So I knew that I had like a safety net of people, but I just took it. I just took it and ran with it, because I think that if we're given a gift, if we're given something, anything at all, whether we're prepared or not, universe thinks you are. So, you know, that it is what it is. If the universe gives you a gift, who are we to question it or question our abilities? Because, by now you know what you can do, and you surprise yourself with what you attempt and succeed at. So why the hell not? Why wouldn't we try things that we're not accustomed to? I wasn't a managing director before. I was an insurance agent. I went to film school for like 2 years, and then I had to leave. This is like 2002. Ran out of money. I failed miserably, and I was a first generation college student, so it was a big deal. And then I failed, like epic failed, and I spent 15 years figuring out what to do while working in nonprofit work, and then also at one point losing my housing and having to navigate, life in another state thousands of miles away. So I went through a various amount of difficulties, but I don't know what it is, and I honestly can't pinpoint how, but somehow I've been able to come back, each and every time, and not be jaded by all the things that happened to me. Somehow I couldn't tell you how, but what I can tell you is that I guess I operate in such a way that I don't let what happened to me affect what comes afterward, or what I do. It's almost like you're happening to the world versus the world happening. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like you're what's happening to everything else around you versus the other way around. I don't know. That's what I think.
No, it's incredible. I mean, I was pretty much just going to ask you like how you got through that, because
Mm,
I go back and forth all the time on how I feel about this, and I've got friends. It's like I have this friend who I had on the podcast. Shout out to James Morrill. He's an incredible actor. He's really really talented content creator, and he's sort of bouncing between jobs. Um, yeah, to make ends meet, just the same as me, same as everyone else trying to become an actor and where everything else. And you can tell it's kind of getting to him because he very recently was in a theater production, smashed it, did really well. And I know that feeling when you get some work and you're like, yeah, this is it. I'm an actor. I'm doing it right, and then you finish because it's a freelance industry, and then you go back to, I don't know, regular life, I guess. And I think it's bothering him, and it's and he's very open and honest about it. He's the same as me. Like, we both wear our hearts on our sleeve. We talk about it. um Maybe it's not always the greatest thing to talk about it, I don't know, but it's just how we both function. And I totally understand that about him. And he's a great guy. He's a really good guy. He deserves a break, right? But the reason I bring it up is that I reached out to him a few times, and I said to him the other day, like, you got to keep going, you got to keep trying. And he it's interesting because my perspective looking at him is that he's doing way better than me. Like, I'm just, plodding along trying to get a break, and it's not really going anywhere, right? And he's killing it. Like, he's absolutely killing it. But I guess he doesn't see that because he's looking at the hard reality of, well, I'm working at this place right now, and that's my reality. And I feel that, like, it was only a few weeks ago that I was still working in a bar job, and that ended for various reasons, and here I am now, throwing everything against the wind, just trying. I got acting lessons, I got portfolio.
yeah,
um
it's really cool
I'm
stuff.
so yeah, I'm working on stuff, I'm throwing myself out there. um
Mm,
but it's hard, and you do go back and forth, and you have these moments where you're like, am I kidding myself? Is am I just not good enough? Is it not supposed to happen for me? Do I not have luck? All these thoughts go back and forth and
yeah,
back and forth. And
yeah.
um, you mentioned there that you went to film school. That was your passion. That was what you loved. It
Mm,
didn't quite work out. And then you were sort of spending the next 15 years like exploring, finding yourself. I feel like now this right here, this version of you, it's all been building up to this, and this is the best
yes.
version of you, and it will keep moving forward,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And that's how
definitely.
life works, right? But in those harder times, I know you said before you weren't 100% sure what kept you going, but is there anything maybe that you learned from some of the failures and some of the difficult times that that did keep you going, or something that
Yeah.
anything that just kept you going and kept you pushing through to this point now?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I grew up with a lot of like really difficult situations because of my surroundings and family life, and I guess not having everything. And right, you're always short. You're always falling short. So there's a lot of criticism and a lot of like teasing that comes along with that, like in the schoolyards, right? So lots of things that happen to you throughout your life when you're having just a rough go of it. And so I learned not to listen. So that's what it was. That is like one of two things of what it was, is that I learned not to listen to other people because everyone had, and I don't know, can you curse on this show? I
Yeah,
don't
of course you
even.
can.
Okay, so a lot of people had a lot of crap to say, a lot of shit to say, and I was like, why in the heck are we wasting time listening to that? That's just utter crap. So what I decided was that I wasn't going to listen to anybody within reason, right? But when it came to like really harsh criticisms, or whether you're telling me something because you're feeling bad about your career, or you're feeling bad about your place in life, or the fact that you didn't make it all the way, so you're going to take it out on me, I was like, why am I listening to that? So I just stopped listening to other people in that regard, and it saved me, I think, because I stopped listening to the negativity and taking it. I just let it bounce off. What's that school age adage that's like, whatever bounces off me, or the what is it, I'm rubber and you're glue.
All right.
Whatever bounces off of me, yeah, whatever. So
No, no,
yeah, I
no, there's
just,
something to that. There's something to it. I wasn't dismissing it. I think there is something to that. Like,
yeah,
that's
hell
true.
yeah. Yeah, so it was like, why in the hell do I care? And then think about all the time we waste on caring about that, right? It's a lot of wasted time.
I
And
gotta
then,
say, man, it's like you're in my head right now. Like,
nice,
honestly,
nice.
no, no, no. This is something I've spoken about on my live streams fairly recently. Like this, the importance of not giving a flying fuck what
Yeah,
negative
exactly. And it's
people
like,
think.
and doing what you're doing right now, with just working on whatever you can get your hands on, whatever you can put out there. That is the key right there. That's the key. Doing something and not being still, because if you be still and you wait, it's not going to fall in your lap. For some it might,
Mm,
but it's not normally going to happen that way. But if you just do something all the time toward whatever that goal is of being an
yes.
actor, being a voice actor, having these deals, having people come to you, with scripts or what have you, it'll happen eventually, sure. But for now is time for the hard work and to work every single job that you possibly can. It's just what it is. I've interviewed quite a few CEOs in production and other directors, and they say the exact same thing. They're like, I started off as a PA or a production assistant, and I coiled cables and I got coffee, whatever. But eventually they got to spend time with the assistant director, or they got to spend time and shadow the cinematographer. All these things that happen because they just put themselves in the environment and did whatever they possibly could, and then they networked and they got jobs, and it just builds from there. But if we don't do anything, if we stay listening to other people excuse me, that say that it can't happen or that you'll never go far, well then we're all automatically at a loss or behind. But I think for your friend, I can understand feeling like, okay, where I am now versus where I think successful me should be, or gauging it based off of the day job that you have to fulfill versus your success as an actor. I understand the thought process, but I honestly believe that it's almost as if you have to put blinders on that say, okay, I'm still going to focus on the task at hand, which is doing this work and getting excuse me, getting those jobs. I was getting better. I was getting I was sick recently. Anyway,
Oh, bless your
so
heart. I hope you're feeling
uh,
better.
that's what Texans say, and usually they don't mean it in a good way when they say "bless your heart."
No,
But
I
thank
mean
you.
it. I mean it. I hope you are feeling better.
Oh, totally, totally better. But
Right.
yeah. So you have to put blinders on and forget about the fact that you work at a marketing agency, or forget about the fact that you work at a bar. Who cares? That's just allowing the money to come in to facilitate your basic needs. It has nothing to do with your success. Nothing at all. So just keep on doing what you're doing and work all the jobs and network and do whatever you have to do to be active in the field. That's literally it. And then everything else will come.
I hope you're right, man.
Oh, I believe it
For
100%.
his sake, because he deserves it. For my sake, because I don't know. I believe in it now. I feel like it's possible.
Mhm.
I know there's people that believe in me, But I think the difficulty with this though is separating the reality that's in front of you versus where you
Yeah.
see yourself and where you aspire to be, because it's
So then,
hard. It really
yeah.
is.
Oh, I believe it. And I see it, I see it with casting, and I see it with, with hiring, with us hiring, creators and even actors or whatever for whatever commercial thing that is going on. But you see the casting, right? And the large influx of people that are wanting to have that position. Goodness. So
You're
I
gonna,
have a bottle of
gonna
water.
make it through.
You talk. You talk. I'm gonna grab some water real quick.
I'll keep talking. Well, I just hope that she makes it through so that we can continue doing this and she doesn't die on us. Like, that's what I'm hoping, man. You're okay. You're all
Hmm.
right.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, I have a home office, like everybody else does.
You know what this reminds me of? And I've said this before, but like, you see, like, I don't know if you had this when you were at school, but like when you're in an assembly and the teacher's talking and it's deathly quiet and
Hmm.
you just can't stop coughing and you're just like, and you start getting anxiety about it. You're like, come on, please stop, please, come on. It happened to me. I was on a coach coming back from Manchester to London, and I could not for the life of me stop myself coughing. I just kept coughing and coughing and coughing, and like I had to apologize to the guy next to me. I was like, "I'm so sorry. Like I don't know what's wrong with me." And there was a stop off. I got myself water. That didn't help, and in the end, I just kind of acquiesced and just accepted it. But like
Yeah.
there was other people there. I mean, it was a shit show. There was at one point some kid
Oh no.
like threw up in the aisleway
Oh
right next to
no.
us, and and we were like 2.5 hours late, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
I forgot about that journey. That sucked.
That sounds like a difficult journey.
Oh,
Wow.
it's just never a dull moment in my life. But yeah, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So it's hard to keep that perspective positive, right? When things aren't working or you're really active and it's just not producing.
Yeah.
Do it anyway. Do it anyway. Do it with the exact same intensity that you do it when things are going right. Do it with the exact same intensity when things are not going right. And I promise you it'll pay off. It totally does. I come from a background where, I went to film school. When I failed miserably, I said, okay, pivot, do something else. So I went to Seattle and I joined AmeriCorps, which is like domestic Peace Corps. You're helping people, serving communities. So I did that. And then, chaos ensued or whatever. And I had to, figure out my housing situation and eventually got back to Texas. And from there I said, okay, what do I do now? Well, all right, let's find a different job because I wasn't ready to do creative things again yet for many years actually because I was so scarred by the fact that I failed film school. I and sorry, I didn't actually fail film school. What it was is that I ran out of money because it was a private school. So I ran out of money and I could no longer attend, and so I had to withdraw. I didn't fail. I was doing quite well, but just like the experience of that failure, it was unlike anything because I had never failed before that. I graduated top of my class with scholarships and so forth, right? I did really well scholastically and in my, hobbies with like marching band and all of these activities that you do. But I wasn't used to failure at that level for sure. And so it took a long time before I could even do anything creative. And the first thing I did do when I decided to get back to being creative was start a podcast, and that was 2014.
Damn.
Yeah.
What did you do the podcast on originally?
It's still around. It's still
Hey.
around. It's actually, yeah, it's around. It's Vanessa The Vivacious show. And I did delete the old episodes because they are quite embarrassing. And I had them around for years thinking like, oh, you know what? It's a badge of honor. But that's not good when you have prospective people that want to work with you come and listen to really bad quality. So I'm like, yeah, let's archive it and put it on the website. So that's what I'm doing. So now it's all kind of current things, but I enjoy talking about whatever's going on in my daily life, and it kind of spurs the conversation onto other topics. So that's pretty much what I do. So it's almost as if you're having like an audio blog, right? So that's, yeah, I used to play music in between. because I had no idea what to say.
Mm.
So I would talk for a minute and be like, okay, now we're gonna listen to some music. And so I'd play music, and I would pirate the music and then do some kind of like recording, because a lot of the software that exists now wasn't really around back then. So I'd have
Mm.
to figure out a way around it. And then you'd have this god awful quality of music. And then I couldn't monetize, of course, because it's all copyrighted. This is before I had a copyright class 2 years ago. But yeah, so that's what I did. That's the first thing I did. And then, years later, after being in retail, being in insurance, I was like, there's more to this. There's more to me getting in trouble in the office when they're telling me not to focus on, the presentation and the creative the creative output of the flyers that they want me to make. And they're
Right.
like, why aren't your metrics and your notations for your calls like this creative stuff that you're putting out? We don't want that. We want these numbers. We want you to answer the phone. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to do that. So then yeah, when everything started building with Are You Happy, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna take a pay cut. I'm gonna take a massive pay cut so I could build and do everything I want. And then at that point, this is 2020, I want to say, I went back to school, and a local college, even community college, and I had the best education I could possibly have. Like, best people working in the industry, but you also had professors who gave a damn, because that was the only reason why they were there, right?
Wow.
At a private university, normally it's tenure. They don't care anymore. They just want to get paid. They want to retire. But community college level, this is called Dallas College now, but they used to call it something different. So you have these teachers who care about teaching you how to produce television, how to write a show from start to finish, and put it together in a studio down the hall. I did a kind of like a reimagination of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, and I'm actually working to kind of build a documentary around that. But
Wow.
I did that with a team, with a group, start to finish. We did the scripting, we did the sets, we did everything, the cameras, everything, and produced a show. Albeit the camera execution wasn't on point, but the concept was there. And at the end, oh, you cried. Why did you cry? Because I made that happen. I'm very intuitive about emotions, and I enjoy crafting this story where at the end you feel such love for this character, and you know why. It's beautiful. So all of that to say that it's not a traditional route whatsoever. But of all the directors and production folks that I've interviewed, all of them say the same thing, where they're like, you know what, you can get just as much success out of going to a traditional school, just as much as you can do it on your own. So there's so many examples of people who just, they just stayed the course and kept working at it, and then you got there. But the main point is, don't stop. That's the main point, is don't stop. Don't stop for anyone. you know don't stop unless you say stop. That's what I think.
I'm feeling inspired. Um, I'm gonna flip the script now and turn the tables on you, Vanessa.
Mhm.
Are you happy?
Yay, I love this. um yes, extremely, extremely happy. um Somebody asked me not too long ago, and it was funny. They asked me this question where they're like, if you could do any job that you want to do, what would you do? It was like one of those questions, and I took a moment and I thought about it because I wanted to be honest in my answer. And I thought, holy shit, holy shit. I was like, I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I'm making content, I'm making films, I'm making videos, I'm overseeing, tons and tons of people and helping them reach their creative potential, while at the same time also, doing my own. I'm working with these amazing people where, like, it's almost like being Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, where you have all of these amazing people with resources to make your dreams come true, and it's unbelievable, right? That's what I get to do all the time. So I was like, holy crap! I've worked so hard in the last couple years that I didn't look up. I didn't notice that that's what was happening. So when they asked me that, I was like, holy shit! I'm doing it right now, buddy. so so yeah, I'm extremely happy because I'm doing everything that I could possibly want to do, and at the same time I'm helping so many people by being able to make that content to share with them too. So helping people, that's, it's a must.
feel like there's an important point there about self-reflection that's really important. I've been doing the same lately. I've been very grateful for where I'm at now, and I just keep pinching myself every moment. I'm like, I'm just so grateful to be
Mm.
in this moment and to be given the opportunity to just try. You know what I mean? Like, even if it never goes anywhere, I'll still be sort of proud of what I've achieved and that I tried.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. Because if you try your darndest or your hardest, your 1000%, then how can you not be happy with that? How can you not be happy with the fact that you gave it your all? You know, that in itself is a victory. And I think when you're talking about, when you have these jobs or you get this one or that one and then everything stops and then another job comes and then it stops, and it's not kind of like recurring work or what have you. I think that the best thing to do is to focus on the fact that you got a job, right? That
Yeah,
you just needed a job. Someone said, "Hey, I like this guy." Don't forget that.
it's a good way to look at it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Hmm. Best advice I've ever received. I'm drawing a blank, but you know what? Actually, no, because I listen to different speakers at times, and one of my favorites that I've kind of gone back and forth to is Les Brown, and his stories about his life. But then he had said something about make know your vitamin, and I'm like, okay, cool. I really liked that. But then also he said when you get in your own head and you feel like you're, going through imposter syndrome, or you're just like, I can't do that, or how could I even approach blah, blah, blah. He was like, tell yourself to shut up. And then, and he says it real loud and a bunch of times. And I'm like, heck yes. So every time that I feel like that, tell myself to shut the hell up. Like, I tell myself that that's dumb. That's dumb. Oh, I don't think I can do this project because I don't know that. That's dumb. Like, just tell yourself that's dumb, and then you just move on and you do it, and then you show yourself that you can do it. It's good.
Brilliant stuff. What's the biggest life lesson you've learned so far?
Biggest life lesson. I would say um, that if we asked for help more, then we'd probably receive more help, and you know what I mean? Like, I always grew up doing things for myself. I was very self sufficient, and to a point, it becomes a bad thing because then you don't ask for help. So I think, and from what I've observed, when people ask for help, the people that can help you will help you if they can, right? But the point of asking is so important and it's necessary. So I think that's the biggest life lesson for me, that asking for help isn't a bad thing, and we should do it more. We should normalize asking for help because we'd probably get along a little bit quicker.
No, I totally agree. It's obviously finding a fine balance between not using people or going overboard with it, but at the same time, like, yeah, it's okay to reach out to friends, family, whatever, and just be like, hey, could you help me with this? And yeah, they'll more than likely want to. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, it's surprising how many people will help you. Surprising that you have a village and we don't even know because we're just like, oh, I'm fine. I'm on my own. It's all good. I'm self-sufficient. But we could all use some help. We could all use some help, man.
As we draw things to a close for today, do you have any upcoming projects or some final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Oh, yeah, totally. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening, people. And I really hope that you pull something from this because yeah, if I could help, one other person, then that's a life well lived, right? But Happy Productions and Are You Happy? I encourage people to check out Are You Happy and be inspired by strangers. But also, if you have the creative bug and you like doing content, join our team. If you want to be a content creator and work on more commercial type kind of work in the UK, let us know. But above everything, do and it's so imperative now more so than ever because life has become uh I guess more difficult and challenging what with everything going on around us. So it's become even more imperative to do what you love and to
Mm,
chase what you want and not wait 5-10 years to do it now. I think that's what I would give as a parting advice is whatever it is that your passion is, find a way, whether it's big or small, whatever you can do to implement it or put yourself on that trajectory to do that. And then you'll be happier in your everyday too, because then you're doing something toward that end of what you love. And then be nice to people along the way and spread that happiness and share good vibes with people and help make other people's life just as nice because the more that you also do that and give of yourself to others, you benefit too. And then everything just, builds in a positive way. And at the end of this life, we have so much that we've done and hopefully we've achieved a lot and hopefully we've helped a lot of people along the way. But, I guess if you think about it in the long term, did you do as much as you possibly could, right? Or did you help people as much as you could? And whatever we decide that answer is, then, that's how we've lived our life. But for myself, I do as much as I possibly can and I help as many people as I possibly can. And by the time that, my end of life cycle comes, I know for a fact that I, lived the hell out of this life. And so that's just how I live every day.
wow. I'm very grateful that you have chosen to appear on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've learned a lot. And I'm sure our listeners will get a lot from this too. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Find me on social, Vanessa The Vivacious. Have a great day. Remember to be vivacious also.
Absolutely. And to the listeners of the Christian Reeve podcast, as always, be safe, be well, and I'll see you in the next one.